Hello and welcome to the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships for 2019. This the Manufacturer Series for the North America region. Our top 16 superstars race about to take place, and to call you through the action will be myself, Chris McCarthy, and alongside me, Jimmy Broadbent.
Yeah, we all like a good manufacturer's race, Chris, and I'm sure our friends from across the other side of the Atlantic are going to love it too.
Well, let's have a look at the points standings after 7 rounds. There you can see Def Sun leading the way at the moment with 8,473 points. FT Ant is in chase. So we've got some familiar faces in there, particularly towards the top, and fairly close between our top two. I'd say if we have a good result for the likes of FT Ant or Carlam, we could see some major changes.
Yeah, we know those guys at the top are very quick in this region, and that rule pretty much applies to everyone in this point ranking right now. Good race for anyone here. We'll see him move up a couple of places given just how competitive it is.
There you go, there are the points in terms of our drivers. Here is our manufacturer rankings. Toyota leading the way out front from Porsche and Mercedes-Benz. Toyota with about a 100-point lead at the moment, but that could change should we see some very good results from the likes of Porsche and Mercedes-Benz. Audi down there towards the bottom as well. Those were the top 12 you could see, and here is the circuit we're going to be going round. We've got the Suzuka circuit coming up for you, so what a circuit it is to go racing round. One of my personal favourites, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me there. The famous 130R corner spoon curve, a very difficult track to drive, but one that provides plenty of overtaking, and that's what we're going to see today.
That's right, of course. First sector very heavy on tyre wear around here, so the drivers who are a bit softer on their tyres will benefit a bit more, I think, as well. But of course, also very much a driver's circuit, Suzuka. If you're a fan of motorsport and you don't like Suzuka, then why are you here? Get out.
Well, as much as we want to see good racing, let's hope we don't see any penalties. If anyone is to get a penalty, you can see the penalty line marked between turns 14 and 15. That is where they will be slowed down, and we've got to hope that they avoid that one, because that is a very, very costly place to be losing time down towards 130R, which is of course a very, very quick corner indeed. So that's where we'll be giving out any penalties. Let's hope we don't see too many of those. Let's have a look at the race details themselves then. Group 3 cars, we've got medium and soft tyres available. 9-lap race, 15 times tyre wear. Soft is probably the preferred option, I'd say, in this one, but we may see people gamble for that medium tyre.
Yeah, we'll just pop over now to our strategy and see what we think is going to happen here, of course. And as you said there, Chris, soft tyre, looking decent, but only for 5 laps or so. That's when it kind of wears out and you have to put in for a new set of soft tyres. Racing medium, though, we think will actually make the race. Whether that's worth doing or not, given they're 1.1 seconds a lap slower, that's up to our drivers. They've got to try and figure that out before they get out on track.
Well, that's everything you need to know. Let's see how it plays out. Let's get down to the grid and get this race underway. So it was Turismo Def Sun who qualified on pole position with a 157.069, and there he is in the Lexus. Starting alongside him on the front row, it's the American FT Ant in the Mercedes-Benz AMG. Was 4.5 tenths back, so Turismo Def Sun could be hard to catch in this one. We just saw Turismo Windfire there in the Hyundai. Then it is Zenit in the Audi starting from 4th place. Carlam is going to be 5th in the Alfa Romeo. Could be a strong car round here. Then we've got Turismo Leicester in the Porsche starting in 6th. Starting in 7th is the Aston Martin of Gumball CGT, and then we have the Toyota of AMS Cooper.
Then we have the rather radical looking Peugeot Vision GT there in 9th, driven by Outlaw Quadrant. Then in 10th position we have Hendrix 323 in that rather nice liveried Renault RS01. Down in 11th is Rory True, a finalist in the Americas region last year, the 911 RSR. Then we have in 12th AMS Marzan in the lovely looking Viper SRT. Down in 13th it is Joe Colobel, I'm saying that wrong, in the Lexus in the 13th. Then Bill Badder there in the 14th position in the Corvette. Down in 15th is Spike Lord in the AMG GT3. Then rounding off the grid, down in 16th is Dad Sleeper, interesting name there, in the Beetle Group 3 car.
Well, let's hope that name doesn't come true in this race. Let's hope he actually keeps going. But at the head of the field is Turismo Def Sun. 4.5 gap over the rest of the field in qualifying. Absolutely smashed it. No one could get anywhere near him. Let's hope, from a neutral point of view, that isn't the case in the race. But Turismo Defsun will be hoping to go off into the sunset in this race.
Very nice. That's good. Thank you.
I prepared that for all.
He's been waiting the entire broadcast. The guys coming down to the last chicane now. It's a rolling start, so it's just a chance for our drivers to have one last deep breath, check the phone, make sure it's on silent, have the last little drink of water before getting ready for a 9-lap sprint here at Suzuka. As Chris said, Defsun looking very quick here. Definitely going to be the one to beat.
Right, here we go for the race start. Everybody on soft tyres, and we expect them to come in around lap 4 or 5. So we'll see who comes into the pits first, or whether they all come in at the same time. However, away from pit strategies, Defsun is looking like the hot favourite for this one, and leads us down towards turn number 1 for the first time of 9 laps. FT Ant there in second place. Then it is Windfire in third, and just trying to break a little bit of a toe there was Windfire from Zenit as they go through the first corner for the first time. A good start from Defsun, no mistakes at all, and now he can try and put into work the qualifying times he did and try and pull a gap over FT Ant. But sometimes those qualifying times are not reflective when we get to the race themselves. We're seeing a little bit, some gaps already starting to form here between 6th and 7th, with a 1.1 second gap there between the likes of Gumball and AMS Cooper. But it's Turismo Defsun leading the way up front as we go down towards the Degnus.
Yeah, sometimes a decent qualifying driver isn't a decent race driver, but we know that Defsun is very talented, so I think both tags would apply to him here. Coming down to the headman for the first time, he's got about 6 tenths to the car behind, who then in turn has 7 tenths to the car behind them, so spreading out a little bit on the first lap here, but Defsun, I think, will just be trying to hit his mark. That's what you've got to do as a leader, just try and make sure you're focused and not really looking in the mirror, just looking forward, trying to make sure you're getting every movement right. Here is Zenit in the Audi R8. He's the closest here to making a position on the back of Turismo Windfire in the Hyundai in front. Zenit, they're not quite close enough to do anything to Spoon. Overtaking into Spoon is very difficult. You're going to be pretty much alongside as you come into the corner to stand any chance of doing so. But now let's see what that Audi has in a straight line. Of course, this is probably one of the more fun parts of the circuit here, straight into the legendary 130R. Called that because it's a 130-degree radius corner, because very original name, isn't it?
Yeah, there we go.
Very imaginative.
Why not? But it's become very famous over the years, and Zenit there in 4th place, just trying to chase down Windfire at the moment. We've got a change of position behind. That was Gumball and Cooper side by side. Doesn't necessarily, in fact, that was Leicester, wasn't it? And Gumball, sorry, side by side. Doesn't necessarily mean there was a change, but there certainly will be on the exit as Gumball goes into 5th place. Who's going to have the legs down the straight though? Leicester pulls in the Porsche into the slipstream behind that Aston Martin, which we know is quick, and is going to have to stick in 6th place at the moment. We've got Cooper just behind in 7th place as we head up towards the S's. Also joining the party here is Carl Lamb. Quadrant is not far behind in the Peugeot either, and then the Renault of Hendricks rounds out the top 10. Just looking at the gaps between our leaders, nothing really closing up the main fight between in the top 10. Gumball leading a 4-car train as they go up towards the Degnus now for the second time, and Turismo Leicester's going to need to respond somewhere here. There is a big gap to the top 4 though, 2.5 seconds already.
It looks like this little scrap they're having is slowing all down really. That's just the nature of racing, unfortunately. If you want to make a place, you've got to work for it, and you end up having to go offline usually to make the pass. In the background, AMS Cooper and Carl Lamb very close together. Carl Lamb there in the Alfa Romeo, which is very agile in the slow and the medium speed corners. A little bit lacking on the straights, so look right up alongside AMS Cooper there, but AMS Cooper's going to have a shorter line in that Toyota, but it doesn't matter, the Alfa goes all the way around the outside. Does it have the legs to stay ahead? It does. Carl Lamb there slots in ahead of AMS Cooper. A brilliant move there from the Alfa driver. Yeah,
nice work there from Carl Lamb, got the exit absolutely spot on, and that's put Carl Lamb into 7th place, but a little bit of time lost to the drivers ahead, but Carl Lamb now some clear track to try and get his head down and make some time up. Turismo Leicester still pressurising Gumball, just making him aware he is behind and wanting to get past if Gumball forgot about that. And Gumball doing pretty well under pressure. Let's switch back to the battle for 3rd, which is close as it's ever been really between Windfire and Zenit. Our 2 leaders have kind of cleared off a little bit and spread themselves out. This the only battle in terms of the top 3 positions. So, use the term battle loosely because Windfire actually has a 6/10 advantage now over Zenit. It looked like Gumbel was just trying to break the toe behind, but Turismo Leicester still stays there 4/10 back in 6th place.
Yep, everyone just trying to get into a rhythm right now, kind of in this odd little mid-race period just before the pit stops, or the pit stops we expect anyway. And you're kind of just thinking, right, how am I going to benefit? Can I pit maybe a bit earlier? Maybe do an undercut? And that's what the drivers are going to be thinking right now, whilst trying to wheel these things around the circuit as quick as possible. It's definitely very tiring on the old mind if you're a decent driver around it. It's very hard to do all that at once, and Turismo Leicester right now, the Porsche, just not quite looking as aggressive at the back of Gumbel now, maybe just deciding to drop back a little bit and to give him a little bit of space instead of just crowding him. But I think Gumbel was still very much the cork in the bottle. The cars behind have dropped off a little bit, but Carl Lamb, it's maybe looking to try and get onto the back of this little Gumbel train here. Yeah, the gap is certainly coming down. It just dropped. It's gone down to 6.5 tenths now. So it was 8.5 tenths just a couple of corners ago. So Gumbel is starting to back Leicester up into Carlam there. And if anyone's going to try and undercut, I'd say Leicester would be the person to do so. It would be worth the gamble, I'd say, to try and come in early, get out of the dirty air of Gumbel, and try and go for some good lap times to then jump ahead of Gumbel when he decides to go into the pit. So we'll see if that plays out. I don't think anyone's going to come in this lap. It will be next lap, I think, if anyone's going to try an undercut as they come through 130R and now down towards the chicane. And at the moment, Leicester just not close enough to make any moves as Carlam now starts to put that pressure on Leicester as well. Does, and I think Carlam is in a decent position here to pick up some places if there's a little bit of argy-bargy up ahead. And there you go, Gumbel decided to go defensive early, hugs the wall on the inside, and Turismo Leicester follows there, just stay in the slipstream. Carlam and the Alpha struggling a bit in the straight line, but now we're into Alpha territory. We're into the corners where the Alpha shines the most compared to the other cars, and now we'll see him pull right onto the back of Turismo Leicester. The thing is, through the S's, there's not really anywhere to pass. It's just going to follow the leader through here. But I have noticed actually, Chris, that Gumbel is now starting to catch up to 4th place there, Zenit.
Zenit's just falling away here. It's just, I think, whether that's a mistake or the tyres, I'd say more likely that the tyres are just going off for Zenit, and Zenit needs to get into the pits quickly. If that's the case, Carlam almost running wide there. Well, flirting with disaster, Carlam, as they come now up to the Degners. We know Carlam's very good out of that hairpin, or has been on occasions, and has gained a position already out of there. Oh, but Carlam a little bit out of shape, coming out of the second Degner, now down towards the hairpin, which we were talking about. Let's see, Carlam very, very good on the brakes, and out of the corner, well, just a little bit too far back to try and get a place done out of there. But definitely this is going to be a 4-way battle now. Zenit is falling and falling into the clutches of Gumbel.
We might see end of his lap, especially Zenit, with some pit stops at the end of his lap, getting near to the halfway period now. No soft tyres are going to be feeling a little bit second hand at this point. Interesting to note, we only had people start only on the soft tyres, no medium runners for this race, which is a bit surprising. I think everyone's kind of figured out that the soft tyre is the tyre to be on at this point, and makes things kind of equal in that regard. Turismo Leicester kind of having a half-hearted look there to the outside, but didn't really make anything of it. Gumbel right there onto the curb, drags him off into the Astro, actually loses a couple of places there, just trying to slow it back down, but that's how easy it is. And Turismo Leicester and Carlam get a free spot, but now they all dive into the pit lane.
Oh, Turismo Leicester staying out.
Oh, that I think what happened there.
I think he wanted to come in.
No, I think Carlam wanted to come in.
Couldn't. Right, so one of them did, yeah.
And ended up hitting the back of Turismo Leicester. But now this is the battle for the lead now, as everyone's pitted in. And Carlam is in the lead. This is
he didn't want to be, but he's in the lead. Tough.
I don't think he wanted to be there. Like, hang on. But okay, so now Carlam needs to just go as fast as he can now, because he's going to be suffering. He's going to got all these people coming before him. They're going to have the undercut, so he's going to be a little bit slower on this lap on the worn set of tyres than those who come out on the fresh set of tyres and go quicker. I mean, it sounds obvious when you say it, of course, but it's good to bring up. A couple of people actually opted to go from the soft to the medium there, Chris.
Well, yeah, it's something that has been talked about and something that has been seen in the past. So it's not a huge surprise, but in a way it is certainly a gamble, or perhaps a risk, but say just driver preference more than anything else. But Carlam, it's not quite where he wanted to be at this stage, but he is in the lead of the race and now has to make this lap very, very good. The best he's had all race, and Carl Lamb just coming out of the hairpin there does look very good and very calm at the moment. Turismo Leicester would say the opposite behind, just struggling dramatically now with the tyres. Def Sun is then in third, 5 seconds back from this. So we'll see where these guys come out once they go into the pits at the end of this lap.
Well, Leicester's already lost a second to Carl Lamb on this lap alone since the overtake. So Lamb's not going slow, but in the meanwhile, Def Sun behind is going faster than all of them. There he is on this fresh set of soft tyres that he's got on that Lexus. So it's looking like Def Sun is looking very good at the moment for this race, as is Ant behind in the AMD. Just falling off a little bit now off the back of Alexis. We thought he might do given qualifying. Def Sun was absolutely dominant in qualifying. 4 tenths is usually a gap we see between the top 8, not between first and second. And well, Def Sun showing us just how it's done. So Leicester and Carl Lamb both into the pits now, as you'd expect them to be. I wonder where Carl Lamb will come out after that.
Well, we'll have to see. It's going to be surely around 5th or 6th place, is it? No, it's going to be further down than that. Well, we'll wait and find out. But Def Sun, this is going very, very well at the moment. FT Ant in 2nd place there. Then we've got Windfire in 3rd. Zenit is in 4th place on the medium tyres at the moment. Gumball in 5th. AMS Cooper 2K 6th, and it's Carl Lamb 7th, Quadrant 8th, Leicester 9th, and Hendricks in 10th after that first round of stops.
Yeah, so obviously it's worked out a bit there. Actually worked out okay for Zenit on that medium tyre for now. Carl Lamb is a net 7th, which is pretty much where he was before the stops happened. I think maybe he would have ended up in 6th there. He's only about a second though behind Cooper 2K, and his tyres are 1 lap newer, so he might have a bit of an advantage there, maybe. But now he's got to do that on track, which is very tricky around here. Although there are more passing places here than many other circuits, it's just the car that Lamb is in, the Alfa Romeo, is not ideal. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Yep. Zenit and Gumball are now together, nose to tail. Audi versus Aston Martin, and Chrome and Red, I can't say is the best scheme for an Aston Martin, but it's nice to see all the custom liveries there. And Gumball dives to the inside there. Zenit reacts to that, I'd say, there. And now we come down to Spoon for the 6th time, and it looks like Zenit has the line for now, but as I always say, that Aston Martin V12 is pretty damn handy in a straight line, so we'll see if Zenit can defend coming up to 130R.
Well, let's have a look then. Zenit surely going to go defensive. Gumball is going to have to look to the outside if he does, and Zenit just sitting in the middle of the road at the moment. Now has to cover the inside. Here comes Gumball to the outside. Gumball's going to try and get the run down towards the chicane. He's going to be side by side as they go in towards the right-hander. Gumball, is he going to try and brave it on the brakes all the way around the outside? He is, and Zenit just about squeezes him in time. Good racing that. Zenit holds on to 4th. Gumball stays in 5th, and it was good to see the respect shown between the two drivers. All of this bringing Carl Lamb back into play.
Yeah, firm but fair there, I'd say, from Zenit. He knew the corner was his and just took it when it was, and gave Gumball no choice but to pull out of it and just say, right, okay, I'll try again next lap. But Carl Lamb, of course, makes his way. He's up into 6th place now. He's had AMS Cooper at some point, we didn't see where, but now he's onto the back of these two. And Gumball looking very feisty at the moment. I think he's very keen to get by Zenit as quick as he can. Yeah. Although saying that though, the gap between Zenit and the next car on the road, which is Windfire, is about 5 seconds, and Gumball now all over the back of Zenit. There's nowhere to pass here, of course, but it's just at the moment just trying to fill up his mirrors and say, hey, look at me, don't look where you're going, and trying to distract the Audi driver.
Zenit on the medium tyre could start to have a little bit of a queue forming behind. You can just see drivers starting to catch in the background. The likes of Cooper, Quadrant, Leicester all starting to close in. And Carl Lamb looks like he does not want to wait around. Is he going to dive down the inside into the hairpin? Yes, he does. Carl Lamb down the inside. Oh, and Gumball tried to go late on the brakes. Too late on the brakes, in fact. And Carl Lamb helps himself to 5th place.
Yeah, that was unfortunate there. Gumball just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tried to outbrake Zenit, who just, well, didn't move. and that allowed Carl Lamb to sneak up the inside into 5th position, and Gumball was thinking, hang on a minute, I thought I was fighting for 4th a second ago, now here I am in 5th. Look at Carl Lamb, look at the agility of that 4C.
Wow.
Like it's nothing, up the inside of Zenit. Will Gumball follow through? No, the door is closed in his face, and just like that, Carl Lamb goes from 6th to 4th, and that's in 2 corners. What a drive there from the Alpha driver.
That's how you do it, but 6th place is Gumball then, and Gumball, this is a frustrating situation. You've seen Carl Lamb just go past like Zenit was standing still. Gumball was not able to do that, and now they come down to the chicane, and Zenit's going to try and fight back here on Carl Lamb, goes down the inside over the curb, and in the end has to back out of the move. Did that let Gumball come through? No, it didn't, but they are going to be side by side coming down towards the start-finish straight. At least they briefly were, but Zenit maybe outbraked himself or actually fancied a move, I don't know, but they head now down towards the first corner, and Zenit looks like he wants to get that 4th place back here. Gumball sitting there in 6th still. The gap back to Cooper is 1.6 seconds at the moment.
You can tell that Gumball is starting to get frustrated. The car's a bit more ragged. He's looking at every other opportunity just to try and get past Zenit now, because in his mind he should be in 4th place trying to chase down Turismo Windfire, but now he's down in 6th position after Carl Lamb essentially made fools of both of them in the second half of the last lap. So Gumball needs to, I think, just kind of chill out a bit, kind of take stock and then get back into the fight without being too aggressive. It's very easy to go and start overdriving, start burning up those tyres around here. Of course, bear in mind the Zenit is on the medium compounder tyre, so he's going to be going a bit slower than Gumball too.
Yeah, well, look at Carl Lamb off in the distance. Zenit there now having well, Gumball finds himself in the same situation, just a place further down the order. Leicester really falling away from Gumball as well. So lap and a half to go, maybe just a little bit less than that in fact, and Zenit still doing a good job to defend from Gumball. Didn't quite work out when Carl Lamb got there, but nevertheless doing a good job to hold off Gumball in the Aston Martin as they come around Spoon Curve for the 8th and penultimate time. And now they make, and a mistake there. Gumball, was that just getting a little bit on the curb on the outside, or?
He just carried a bit too much speed in there. Front tyres didn't want to hook up, and he just understeered out to the exit, which happens a lot there. It's very annoying when it happens. It costs you a ton of time. But again, look at this straight line speed of the Aston in the Slipstream 2. He's got to try and time this so he gets a good run through 130R and carries that speed down to the chicane. Can't quite manage to do that. I think we might see a send at some point from Gumball. Bigger lock of the tyre there, but the tyre smoke being kicked up as Zenit trying to slow down his Audi R8. But now we come on to the last lap, and if Gumball's going to make any sort of pass here, it's got to be soon. You see he's all kind of sideways trying to get the power down coming out of the last corner there. Last corner doesn't seem like it'll be very difficult, but in these cars, 500 horsepower to the rear wheels, no traction control, worn tyres, it's very much a difficult corner to get through.
And good battles going on in the background as well between the likes of Cooper and Quadrant, which are going to be resolved on the last lap. Nothing to say about our leaders. It's Defsun leading, FT Ant and Turismo Windfire as Gumball comes through the S's and just trying to get a little bit closer to Zenit, but Zenit just got a little bit of a gap. This perhaps the biggest he's had in the last few laps, but Gumball has to try and pull something out of the bag here. He's had a good few attempts to try and get past Zenit, who's on those medium tyres. They've all been successful, but we still have half a lap remaining, and Gumball just seems to look as strong as he has done in recent laps now.
No, I think he pushed those soft tyres a bit too much. He had the speed at the start, of course, because the soft tyres are they perform very well, but they just don't have the durability. And what that means is Turismo Leicester.
Yeah, look at Leicester.
He was 2 seconds back, is now just over 0.8 behind. So this might not be over. Gumball might just be falling further and further down for Leicester. All kinds of sideways there, coming off the hairpin, just planting his right foot to the floor and thinking, you know what, I've got a chance here. I'm going to do my best to catch up to the back of that Aston.
Yeah, well, Leicester's still got a little bit of time, but if he's going to get past, it's going to be a last lap lunge as they now make their way through Spoon Curve for the last time. Our leader is already heading round 130R and up towards the chicane, and that is Turismo Defsun. The gap between FTN and Turismo Windfire getting a little bit closer here, Jimmy.
It is, but I don't think it's going to be enough at this point. We're on the last lap, last time through. And it's going to be Turismo Defsun comes round the last corner and is victorious in the Lexus. A flag to lights victory. What a performance there from the Canadian driver. FTN second, Turismo Windfire in third, and the great drive there for Carl Lamb to come home in fourth position. It's going to be Gumball in fifth position there. What happened to there's something happened there. Gumball is in 5th, so someone's... No.
Oh, Zenit's dropping down, and Cooper's dropping down as well.
Something happened to Zenit. I'm not sure what happened there. So Zenit, who was in 5th, drops all the way down the field on the last lap to 11th. So drama there for the Audi driver, but that does mean that Gumball 5th, Turismo Lister 6th, Outlaw Quadrant in 7th place, and Dad Sleeper
was asleep at the back.
He was a bit asleep, but he ends up in 15th position with Bill Bader 16th and last.
Well, there was drama on the last lap there, a little bit further down the field, but not for Turismo Defsun, who took the win in the end by just over 3 seconds ahead of FT Ant and Turismo Windfire. There you can see Carl Lam a solid 4th place, Gumball in 5th, Turismo Leicester was 6th, and we had Quadrant in 7th place. Hendricks was in 8th place. May not have been a particularly close race between 1st to 8th, but there were close battles in amongst it, which was good to see. AMS Marzan 9th, Rory True. Then we had Zenit and Cooper. We don't know what happened to them, but they fell down the order. Kloppel was 13th. Speak Loud was 14th place. Dad Sleeper, poor old Dad Sleeper, in 15th place. And then we had Bill Barder, 16th place. Well, we've got a replay here to find out what happened to Zenit. Was going along in 5th place, seemingly without any problems, but I wonder where the problems started to begin. Was it here? Was it the chicane? Let's have a look. Ah, yes, there we go. Runs a little bit wide. Oh, and that's a big spin there for Zenit, Jimmy.
Just keeps going and going and going, doesn't it? Of course, there you go. To add insult to injury, he ends up facing the wrong way as well. Has to reverse back onto the circuit and just goes flying down the order. Look at the pace that he loses there, down to 12th position. That would really hurt him after that race.
All that hard work gone, and there is that Cooper? Yes, it is. Well, that's Cooper rejoining the track, so problems for Cooper as well, but that is unfortunately how Zenit ended up dropping out of the top 10 from 5th place. Well, let's see what happens to the points then. Turismo Defsun, that's all good news for himself and FT Ant out front. Turismo Windfire, 3rd place, has just jumped ahead of Carlam. TRC Stagger jumps ahead of Turismo Leicester. Hendricks and One Eyed Loco also on the move, with Cooper going down after that bad end to the race. And what about the global manufacturer ranking? Let's have a look at that. Toyota, well, it's only a 40-point gap now back to Porsche. Lexus are up to 3rd. Alfa Romeo, they sit there in 5th place. BMW in 6th place. And Aston Martin creep up into the top 12. So good to see Aston Martin creeping in, given that they were in the top 3 last year. And speaking of our live events, we've got our next GT World Tour event coming up very shortly. It's going to be at the Nürburgring for the 24-hour race. It's going to be on June the 21st and 22nd. Do watch us live in all the usual places at the following times. We look forward to seeing you there. It's goodbye for now.